Welcome back from the break, everybody. This is the Collegiate Star League's Fall Hearthstone season, round of 8. As always, we are brought to you by Blizzard and Twitch. My name is Nemo Dogan. Casting with me, of course, is Lucia.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you just joining us, this, as Nomo said, is the round of 8 for the Collegiate Star League Hearthstone division. Our rules here are probably not something you guys are as familiar with. This is a best of 5 team match. As you can see up here, we have George Mason University versus Princeton University. The way it works is each player gets to play at most one game. As you can see here, first up we have Dementio versus Pi Dimension. And the second set of rules is that each class can only be played once by each school, whether they win or lose. So there is no last hero standing, no conquest, none of those. It's just you play a deck and it is gone.
Right. Yeah, it's a particularly interesting format. Makes sense for a team format. I've liked it so far, seeing as each team can bring their own variety of decks and the other team can play a completely different set of decks with the same classes, as long as each class is only played once by each team.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've seen a lot of strategy revolving around the format, but there are things you can do, like if you have a deck that's not good against certain classes, you can just go ahead and wait it out, place, like someone, if you get someone to play a really good deck, like let's say in the third slot, and you have something like Freeze Mage or a control deck, you just want to make sure, hopefully, that the players ahead of time have played out their really aggressive decks that don't work well for you, and then, be able to get a good game in with your top players. Nothing like, throwing your best players in with like a Freeze Mage, Control Warrior, that kind of thing, and it's like, oh, they got face hunted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. You want to be ready for any deck when you go in, especially for the first game. You can play against any class, so you want to be prepared for anything, because it could be anything, of course. Most popular decks we've seen though are Secret Paladin, definitely a top tier deck, along with Druid, another top tier deck, and there's a lot of people playing Hunter. Solid deck all around. I mean, whether or not you play mid-range or base hunter, either deck can do very well. They definitely have different strengths and weaknesses, but both are strong decks in general and can beat any other deck.
Yeah, Secret Paladin definitely something that I've seen a lot on ladder, but not so much so in the last couple of games. I think it's just the way that you feel, like when you lose to it, when you lose as a Secret Paladin, you're like, oh man, like I just keep drawing secrets, like what is this? And your team's like, come on, go play a real deck, right? Like, I definitely, one thing I want to see today is a Reno Warlock deck. That would definitely be rather interesting.
Yeah, Reno Lock has taken the ladder by storm. I mean, it's not what everybody's playing, but a lot of people have been playing it, and it's pretty strong. It's pretty fun as well. So looks like the players have gotten in game here. Once again, it is Dementio versus Pi Dimension. Dementio has brought Druid, and Pi Dimension has brought Warlock. I wonder if this will be the first Reno lock of the night.
Yeah, well, it starts off on your side, so you tell me. Does he have the cards necessary?
He has Stalag, so I think there's a very high chance this is a Reno lock, as a lot of the decks play Stalag and Fugan. They're pretty strong with cards like, I mean, I guess with the specific card, Twisting Nether, because even if you're Twisting Nether your own Stalag or Fugan, as long as the other one has died, you get an 11/11. So Twisting Nether in this deck has been something that's been popular. It's interesting. I mean, Twisting Nether was never really played before this, but now it seems like it's having its time to shine, and I'm not sure exactly how good it is. It seems okay, but it's another way to clear the board, which is what this deck is looking for, I think. It just looks to clear the board multiple times, survive forever, and then win with Thaddeus or heal up with Reno to beat aggressive decks like Hunter. It's got a few different ways it can win.
Yeah, and especially against the Druid, like, how do you deal with an 11/11, right? You've already used your BG probably on the 7/4 or on a Doctor Boom. Like, at that point as a Druid, you're like, removal. It would be nice if I had removal.
Yeah. I mean, this deck plays plenty of removal. I think it plays every removal spell that Warlock can, all the good ones at least. And since it can only play one of each, it is a little bit less than you would expect, I guess, but it's still a good amount. We do see Darnassus Aspirant come out from Dementio and not get killed, so I'm sure he's happy about that. Coin into Azure Drake is a solid play. You do like to get Shade of Naxxramas established pretty early, but it seems fine to skip out on it here for these other plays.
He'll have a swipe next turn, so he can deal with the 3/1 plus something that comes down. Unfortunately, he would have to trade in his Drake if he really wants to deal with that. He could go for the Wrath plus hero power. Or, you know, just play a Shade and you're not using all your mana and you're just kind of letting Pi Dimension build up his own board as well, so...
Right.
We'll have to see. Looks like Pi Dimension does pick up a Shadow Flame, speaking of removals. So leaving a 3/1 up would not be good, you know, just sort of letting your opponent have a very easy clear.
Yeah, Dementio does go for the swipe on the Twilight Drake. It is spell damage, so it gets the Drake down to 2 health, but it still trades evenly with his own Drake. Now he decides to play Piloted Shredder and Zombie Chow over the Stalag. I definitely like that play because pretty much every Druid plays BGH, and Dementio does in fact have a BGH in his hand, so nice play there from Pi Dimension.
Yeah. You always want a couple extra minions on the board, you know, like especially with Shadow Flame, you just want to see what happens. And so Dementio, also last turn, right, he opted to go for face instead of trading. He sees his opponent might be playing a Reno deck, and in that case, you're not as worried about the Moltons, right? You don't really want 2 Moltons to come down and taunt up and all that, but if it's just one, it's like, okay, like, the only reason you keep, you know, a Warlock, well, 2 reasons. One is Jiraxxus, and one is Molten Giants, right? To not take him down so hard in health, but at this point, you know, if you're only going to worry about 1 Molten, then you might as well just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, for sure. Stalag is got to be a clear indicator here to Dementio of what he's playing against. If he's updated with the current ladder and decks that are popular, he's got to have a good idea that his opponent's playing Rio Jackson now, so you'll have to be aware of that, especially as a Druid when you're trying to get your opponents that critical point of 14 health so you can combo them, or however much damage you can assemble. He's definitely going to want to keep that in mind. Don't want to commit too hard just in case your opponent does have Reno.
Yeah, and a good play here by Dementio, opting to Wrath the Juggler instead of playing his Shade, because as we know, Pi Dimension has a Shadow Flame, so that would just immediately take out the BGH and the Shade. A nice swipe here.
Yeah.
And now
not exactly where you want to be as Druid. I mean, getting the Shade in play is nice, but I would feel somewhat behind, seeing as, like, I don't really have much of a board. I mean, Shade is nice, but...
Unfortunately for Pi Dimension, though, he doesn't have a great hand either. But he is able to use his hero powers, so, you know, he doesn't have as many threats at the moment. Right? He's not in danger of dying, but he doesn't really have many threats, so, you know, kind of an easy way to deal with that is just, hey, let's draw more cards.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I think his hand is solid. I do agree, it's not exactly what you want it to be, but he does have a reasonable amount of answers and can deal with the board for a while and eventually just win later on. 2 Force of Natures in Dementio's hand.
That Kazan Mystic isn't going to be doing anything this game.
Yeah. Just gonna be a 4-3 for 4. Not the worst.
I was thinking if he wants to Shadow Flame to clear off the shade before it gets out of control. You could use the Hellfire as well, but then you'd want to do that before you played your BGH.
Yeah, I think the time for Hellfire has come and gone since he's already played his BGH. I think
Yeah.
he's probably going to play the Shadow Flame. I mean, I would have rather Hellfire this turn myself because I
so.
think Shadow Flame's more versatile, but it might have just been a slight misplay. Who knows? Or Pie Dimension wants the Hellfire for something else.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Like, you know, you have Reno in hand. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if anything happens, you're like, oh, never mind, just gonna heal up. Whatever, guys.
I mean, I think Pie Dimension's got to be feeling good with where he's at right now. He's not under a ton of pressure. He's got his Reno. He's got a Sun Fury Protector if he wants to taunt some stuff up. But like you said, the main issue here, he doesn't really have many threats, so this turn is a little bit awkward.
Well, I think you just play out the Kazan and the Mind Control tech. You don't really expect your opponent, you know, if he's not playing minions that much, then he's not really going to pop down like 3 other minions next turn, right?
I like starting with the tap. I think when you make this play, though, you probably have to taunt some more minions.
Alright, picks up a Voodoo Doctor.
Yeah.
So he's still got enough to, play the Kazan.
And the Voodoo Doctor on his Sludge Belcher? That's some value right there. Good stuff. Voodoo Doctor. The other Doctor overshined by the one we all know as Dr. 7. His little brother coming out here and doing some work.
Yeah, but he heals people. He doesn't do damage, you know.
That is
It doesn't
true.
quite work out that way.
Yeah, when someone calls for the doctor and Dr. Boom shows up at their house, I'm sure they don't really want to pay for those medical bills.
Oh boy.
Wrath comes out on a stick.
Yeah, looks like he's going for the Force of Nature clear. Doesn't really need 2 sets of trees, you know. As long as he gets rid of any taunts, then he just needs 1 set of trees to get the lethal combo down. Pie Dimension has to decide, is it time to Reno up? Dimentio also keeping his Keeper of the Grove, so in case, you know, Pie Dimension gets down a Molten or something else taunted up, he doesn't want to deal with that. So good choice there.
I think it's about time for Reno Jackson. I would have tapped first and taunted it, but I think
That
this
is
fine
fair.
as well.
Yeah, that is a good point. This way he gets another minion down. Oop, another keeper, so even if he didn't keep his keeper, would have got another one anyway.
He'll probably be okay with this amount of cards, and saving the Sun Fury Protector allows him to Sylvanas and Sun Fury, which is solid. So I can't really fault him for not tapping. It might just be a little greedy, actually.
I don't think it's that much of an issue. Like, you're not really, you know, dying for 2 health against the Druid.
Yeah.
Alright, so starting again at 30 health. Sludge Belcher goes face, deals the first 3 damage. Draxus, definitely not what you want to play at the moment.
I would like to see the Hellfire into Mortal Coil here, I think.
I agree.
Just clean up the board a good amount.
Ooh, he does get his second piece there, and as we know, the BGH already played by Dimentio. He might have a second BGH.
Yep, you could kill off the Sludge Belcher here. I think this is fine as well. It gives you a better board, of course, instead of Hellfire and Mortal Coil. So it gives you
And
your
it
own
would
board.
kill off your Reno as well, so definitely not what you want to do. And so there's an opportunity for a keeper. If he wants, he can just trade everything in and toss the Living Roots into Sylvanas. So that will clear that off and let him keep the keeper and throw down an Ancient of War as well as Hero Power. So looks like that might be what he's going for here. Alright, pops out Nation of War. Hero Power, and probably not attack.
Yeah, definitely a rough spot for Dementio. Ancient of War is a big dude, but Iron Beak Owl can take care of that. Soulfire, an interesting choice. I think a lot of people do have that in their decks, but Pie Dimension's got a lot of ways to win now. He just needs to make sure he doesn't die himself. And should be feeling pretty good. Dementio has got quite a climb here to win this game, I think.
Yeah, I guess the Fergan down, so that's going to be pretty scary for Dementio to deal with unless he has a second BGH. I guess he could... Oh, he could keep her. Wait, does that work?
Yeah, if you silence it.
No, but it didn't silence the... Oh, okay, right, because this is the second one, yes. So the silence would, in fact, deal with us.
Yeah.
Huh.
Second one is the one that really matters,
right.
But even then, it's he's in such a tough spot. Like, you silence the Fugan, the keeper just dies to the Fugan.
Yeah.
That's your rough. Second Force of Nature. I mean, Therason's a good card, but...
I think that's all you got. You got a Thorson, Keeper, the Fugan. I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't, take a pounding from an 11/11, and you have no way to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fugan's not really dying yet, but yeah, just silence it is fine. And then, okay. You can hero power into Therason, kill off the L. This is fine as well. You save your keeper for a little longer. Maybe you need it for damage to face. Like I said, Fugan's not dying yet. Pie Dimension could suicide it if he wanted to. He
wants to go for the Hellfire play. I don't think it's not the time for that. Siphon Soul. That's a nice pickup there for the Thorson. If he thinks Dementio... Yeah, if he thinks Dementio was playing a Ysera or something, he might want to keep it, but...
It would kind of be sad as well if Pie Dimension went all in on that Thaddeus, and then his opponent had like a second BGH to deal with it. Yeah, no reason to take those risks here. Just play it slow and...
What a sad situation, though, for Dementio. Like, Pie Dimension, he's tapping away, and he's still at 26 health.
Yeah. Reno Jackson. It's a spectacle what that guy does.
Alright, so Force of Nature plus Hero Power will be able to take that out. So he's doing okay on board, but he's literally just got an Innervate in hand. Hasn't drawn either of his Ancient of Lords yet, unfortunately. And Pie Dimension, he has all the threats still coming up. Can't play as Molten, just because he's so healthy.
Yeah.
It's like the kind of situations you want to be in.
Never mind. I was gonna, say he could, Soulfire, Hellfire himself and play it next turn if you want to go for the ultimate BM, but...
Oh, the Hellfire gets tossed out, but hey, he didn't need that. And, even if he needed damage, he could have done the Jiraxxus. Either Jiraxxus or Hellfire would have guaranteed him 3 damage. So, plenty of damage lined up there, and an excellent first game. Like I said, I wanted to see a Reno Warlock deck, and Pie Dimension, not to disappoint, can go ahead and pick that up, and also win his game. That's always good to see, right? Because you're like, well, people can play these crazy decks and all, but if they're not going to win, right, it's the round of 8. You don't really want to disappoint your team that way.
Right. Yeah, so that puts Princeton off to a good start, of course.
1-0 lead here against George Mason. Like we said, we haven't really seen George Mason play much at all in the season, so definitely excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, maybe we'll see some more Reno Lock, or maybe some other type of Reno deck. That is a card that has definitely proven itself to be a major contender for decks lately. So we're going to be getting this set up, getting into game momentarily. Just getting this sorted out between the players. Alright, hopefully we see some other sick decks. Maybe something new that we haven't really heard about before. There are definitely some cards that have come out that people have been experimenting with, and I wonder what the results of their experiments have been. Whether or not their decks have been viable. Maybe some of these players have brought forth some of their decks they've created themselves. Should be interesting.
Alright, we are loading into game here. Looks like once again we will have a Paladin versus Warrior match up. So far looking to be a mid-range... Ooh, never mind. A mid-range Mysterious Challenger deck. Interesting. There's a Keeper of Alderman. So...
Yeah, I really like that card. I think that card is super strong.
Yeah, the only issue I have is that, you know, Mysterious Challenger deck, it's just... Your secrets take up so much of the deck. Like, there's just very few slots left open that you can, you know, think of putting something in. Like, you would never really tech, right, in that kind of deck because you just don't have space for it. And, ooh, kind of a rough start here for Tito. Does get a Noble Sacrifice. You know, if you do get a secret to start, that's not the worst secret, at least, to start out with. But a Mysterious Challenger and a Dr. Boom, this is a pretty slow start here for Tito. And look at that, we have a Patron deck over there for silver. Huh.
Yeah. Patron, not down for the count, as a lot of people thought it would be with the War Song nerf. It is still around, but it is not nearly as much of a nuisance as many of us once thought. Secret Paladin, though, alive and well. Wow, Tito going with the double secret start. Looks like he's gonna just hero power next turn and let his secrets go to work.
Yeah.
I don't like that play as much because he's got two big minions in his hand, and just using the coin like that pretty early on. I mean, he obviously wants to be aggressive, but I don't think his hand is playing that much into that right now. We'll see how it works out, though.
Right, there's not really many things for him to do, you know, next couple turns. That's definitely the issue. It does pick up a shielded mini bot.
Wow, that's a really good draw.
Yeah. He's like, it's fine. I'll draw into a 3 and then a 4 and then everything's gonna be fine.
Unstable Ghoul deals with the Noble Sacrifice really, really well, though. And he can... Merv can also, X Silver can also play an Acolyte of Pain to go with that.
Yep. Or he could go for the Slam. Lots of options here, but I definitely think, yeah, with the taunt there, the Acolyte's the way to go.
I agree.
If he wants to go a little crazy, yeah, could pop down the Frothing.
I don't think it's totally necessary yet. You might as well just build up your hand, I think, especially as a patron player. Yep, build it up.
Interesting to see what other cards he has in his deck as well.
For sure. Always is. Haunted Creeper drawn now. Tito can play his Haunted Creeper and Repentance for a pretty decent turn.
Yeah, man, that's the idea. Like, you can always draw into more things to play.
Right.
It's like, I don't need the coin. It'll ruin his curve anyways, because what's he gonna do? He's gonna coin out the Mysterious Challenger, and then what's he gonna do on turn 6? I mean, come on. It's unreasonable.
I mean, I guess that's one way of looking at it, but it's also what I'd rather have. A Banjo on turn 1 or a Mysterious Challenger on turn 5.
I mean, once he's drawn that many secrets, you're like, where's the value?
I mean, it's worked out pretty well so far.
Ooh, this could be a pretty good Battle Rage.
Yeah. X Silver can set it up so he draws 2 cards off of it. His hero hasn't taken any damage yet, which is somewhat unfortunate. Or else he would get that extra draw if he wanted to do that. He could also go with the Frothing Berserker here, but maybe he respects the Repentance. It's something that is popular in the Secret Paladin decks as a 1-up.
Right. Generally, you don't play around Repentance that much. But when your opponent has 3 secrets down, you're like, okay, like, it's very likely, right? If he only has 1, you're like, okay, that's probably an Avenge, a Noble Sacrifice, something like that. But at this point, you do have to respect that.
I think he's got a good idea of what the secrets are now. Especially once he sees that this other one isn't Competitive Spirit. He should know for sure that it's Repentance, and then he can play around it accordingly.
And unfortunately, the Spider gets buffed up, so he doesn't get the, easy draws from the Acolyte. Tapping the Spider, having the Unstable Ghoul proc, and then, when it's a 1-1, getting another draw from that.
I thought it was interesting how he attacked with his Fireworks when he could have attacked with Acolyte to proc the Noble Sacrifice. Because then he can use his Unstable Ghoul and his War Axe to kill off the shielded minibot if it doesn't get avenged, or he can use his War Axe to pop the Spider. So that was an interesting way of doing it. I think that was probably a slight misplay. But, Alright, X Silver's turn now. He has a Dread Corsair for 1 mana, which you might just want to put that into play now. But then again, he's probably thinking about the Repentance. Which one would he rather have? 1 health?
Yeah, pops the Armorsmith down. He's going to leave that at 1 health. Dread Corsair comes out. No Battle Rage value here, so I'm just going to armor up. Could execute the Spider, but is that something you really want to do? He's thinking about it.
Yeah, it
would just trade into the Dread Corsair. And as we know, Tito doesn't have a turn 5 play.
I mean, I think it's kind of a tough choice. Because it is an annoying thing, 4-2. It just makes 2 1-1s, which whatever. Wow.
Alright, 6, 7, 8, all sorted out there for Tito.
Yep. Doctor
no turn
6.
5 play.
Doctor 7.
1-1-1, all throwing themselves into the Dread Corsair, that Armorsmith getting its value.
Yeah, Doctor 6, Doctor 7, and Doctor 8, as the memers call them.
I think you're allowed to miss a turn 5 if you have 6, 7, 8 going on there.
Yeah, especially those 3 cards. Probably the best cards for each of their respective mana costs.
Go with the best. I'm not gonna even go with probably here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, thank you. Coming out from Tito.
The Lothab coming out 1 turn late. I mean, that would have been...
I think he was thanking his deck there, as he knows we're spectating, and he's probably just showing us how he appreciates his deck. But
actually doesn't have that many secrets. We see an Avenge, a Redemption, and Noble Sacrifice. So there was the 1 Repentance, no Competitive Spirits being run by Tito. Like I said, there's not a lot of space in Secret Paladin decks because of the secrets, so it looks like he actually took out Competitive Spirit. And we didn't see any musters either. He could have those in his deck, but it looks like he might decide, like, okay, I'm running these huge guys, like Dr. Boom, Tyrion, Lothab, Mysterious Challenger. Like, Competitive Spirit, you might not get that much value out of.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really be complaining about these turns either. Like, I don't know, that thank you, I don't know what was meant by that, but man, he's got this 9-8 Mysterious Challenger. He knows one Execute is already down. His opponent probably doesn't have the other Execute. And now he can just play Doctor 7. And...
well, the Mysterious Challenger will die to Lothab.
But then you still have your 7/7.
Okay, so he's going to play his own Lothab.
Which makes sense. You don't want your Boombots to just die, but I think I still would have preferred Dr. Boom, simply because it's just a bigger threat.
It's Dr. Boom.
Yeah.
Need we say more?
I prefer Lothab on a board where you're trying to protect your guys from spells. Like, that Mysterious Challenger was dying to the Lothab anyway. And now, X Silver has actually gotten himself into a pretty decent spot. I think Dr. Boom could have prevented some of this. Like one of the boombots could have killed Frothing
Yeah,
Berserker.
that's fair. Yeah, one of the things you can do with Dr. Boom is just prevent, just be lucky and prevent them from setting up a huge board.
I mean, I
You
guess
could make more patrons too, you never know.
yeah, I guess Silver wouldn't have played the Frothing Berserker if a boombot was in play. So then this guy wouldn't have gotten buffed. It's still a fine call though, like not to play Dr. Boom because your 1/1s die. They wouldn't have gotten a whole lot of value either.
He's gonna toss down the Tyrion to trade with the Frothing Berserker. He could have keepered it, but I think that doesn't silence it, right? It would still keep growing, the Berserker?
Yeah, its
Yeah.
attack would still go up if things took damage.
So it doesn't really help out all that much. Knife Juggler, not the kind of thing you want to play against Frothings and Patrons. And Dr. Boom, again, it's one of those, like, things could go well or they could go poorly for you, depending on how the Boombots land, so I'm just gonna go ahead and toss down a Tyrion. It's turn 8 anyways, I mean, what else are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. He's really hoping to find a way to clean out these patrons. Oh, they just... Okay. Well, looks like Silver is going for the maximum damage play. This is risky. I mean, you don't really have Burst in your patron deck anymore. Like, there's Gromash, but other than that, how are you going to follow this up?
That hurts. The Keeper actually works out here, right? He can
Yeah, it works out really
keeper
well.
it and then hit it because,
That was so aggressive from Silver. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, patrons are really nice to have and play against Paladin, but
the thing is, right, like, this deck is not as conventional as a secret Paladin deck, and I think in other cases, if there wasn't the Keeper there, like, that would be a really hard situation to deal with.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the decks, the secret Paladin decks, are playing the Keepers as well as some other ways to deal with
Or
that.
the Eldor, right?
Like, they've gone more mid-rangey lately instead of straight aggro, I think.
Yeah, I think people just realize that straight aggro, you run out of steam too much. And
You can definitely steamroll people with it, though. Like, or, yeah, just run out of steam.
at that point, honestly, I think I would just prefer playing something like Face Hunter, Aggro Druid. Even Shaman, maybe, but...
Ooh. Man.
Grom's coming out.
I think this is so risky. Don't you
It's
want...
not bad, right? Because your opponent already used up some of his removals. So,
But still...
what else is he going to do? Like, you're not really going to run a Quality Consecrate as a Secret Paladin. Like, there's just so much stuff you can't... Oh my god. Oh my god.
Keeper.
Wow.
That is like power play.
I was gonna say, like, I don't see him being able to deal with this, except, of course, he picks up a second Keeper. 13 cards still in his deck. Pretty lucky draw there.
Yeah, the aggressive play from Silver.
Yeah, and he's actually used his 5/2 to kill off the 3/3 Grom. And then go ahead and hit face with his weapon. Just trying to... They're both racing at this point, just trying to get the damage down.
There's the Inner Rage, though, which would have made Gromash lethal damage.
Yeah.
But,
Or the Whirlwind, right?
Well, Tito was at 12, I think, or I guess he was at 11. But either way, kind of got to move on. Oh, he was actually at 14. I don't really know. No, that was Silver. Anyways,
Flame
I'm kind of
Juggler?
lost here. Let's just focus on what's going on right now. Grim Patron Whirlwind, Inner Rage. Okay, we can clear up the board some, get a couple of Grim Patrons into play.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Except that your opponent has a Dr. Boom coming out, but Silver has a
2,
big
3,
game
4,
hunter.
5, 6, 7, 8. So he has lethal.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no way to stop this, huh?
Yeah, Silver's got those. It wasn't a true Silver. The Ashbringer does more damage, but it doesn't heal you, unfortunately.
Good point. Yep.
No
Definitely
way
lethal damage here.
It is also not a Death Spite, so you can't pop the This is the I hope my opponent doesn't notice that he has lethal moment.
Yeah. Or you click a boom bot, and then the boom bot deals 8 damage to your face somehow. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Murph not going for any kind of EM. He's like, alright, no BGH, no inner rage on my patron, nothing. I'm just straight up, go face. 1-1-1, got it. Moving on.
Yep. Yep, that's going to be the win for X Silver. It did kind of look a little sketchy with the ground match play, but paid off, especially with those draws. I mean, it was scary when Tito did draw that keeper to deal with it, but X Silver had it all together. Takes the game for his team.
Yeah, I'm liking these decks from Princeton. We had the Reno, and then we had a patron deck. Mm-hmm. So very cool. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, so that is a 2-0 lead for Princeton now, isn't it?
Same situation as we saw last time.
Yeah. The next game is going to be between Wava and MZang13, and this is another situation where Wava can begin the comeback for his team, or MZang can take it home.
Indeed. So it looks like it will be Warrior versus Druid.
Wow. I think this is exactly what MZang was looking for here. Mid-range Druid versus Warrior is a matchup that I feel is like 70 to 80% in the Druid's favor. Depending on the Warrior deck, of course, depending on both players' deck lists.
Mm-hmm. Well, what kind of Druid? What does he have so far?
I mean, he's got Druid of the Claw, Keeper of the Grove, Azure Drake.
Okay, so probably just a regular old ramp or combo Druid.
Yeah, and I think that deck just beats up on Warrior, especially if you get a Wild Growth, which I don't see yet. His hand actually looks pretty unimpressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Big Game Hunter's not really what you want to see at the start.
Yeah. Even so, 3, 4, 5, 7, also considering that Big Game Hunter isn't exactly a turn 3 play.
Mm-hmm. Wava taking his draw here. Not too much to do, of course, as a Warrior player.
He's just going to relax. He could coin out the Armor Smith if he picks up a War Axe or whatever, but, you can just save the coin, just relax. Nothing to really worry about, and actually has a Harrison as well, MJang, so he's got this Warrior matchup figured out.
Yeah. I mean, Wava's got to feel happy not seeing anything on turn 2, like a Donasis Aspirant or a Wild Growth or an Innervate play. Mm-hmm. I think MZang is seriously considering just playing the Big Game Hunter here, which I kind of like, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's decent. The only problem, of course, is that Control Warrior does have a lot of things you would need to BGH. And I don't think you can really rush him down that quickly that you feel comfortable just tossing away your BGH.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's plenty of reason not to play it, of course.
Yeah, there's also the case, he just has a Death's Bite or War Axe, and it can't even kill the Armor Smith, right? So, too much of a risk.
Piloted Shredder is a great draw for MZang, though. He's got to be happy to see that. Next turn, he can follow it up with Lotheb. He's got a Harrison Jones for a possible weapon, which Wava doesn't have any of right now. Let's see what Wava does this turn. I mean, he could execute this Piloted Shredder. Not really what you're in the market for with Execute, but
in the market for.
I mean, it works, I guess. You draw a card off Acolyte as well. Oh, there we go.
There we go. He's in the market for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Death's Bite takes out Piloted Shredder. Hopefully, something with 1 health comes out so Armor Smith can clean it up.
Ooh.
Wait, what in the world? Fallen Hero. Your hero power deals 1 extra damage, does not work with Druid's hero power.
Unfortunately. He's gonna go ahead and hit it. Just so he can just whirlwind that away.
Yep.
And
Definitely seems like the right play here.
that works out.
Bash drawn for Wava.
Yeah, might as well. Bash, armor up.
Yeah, you don't want to use
Just hang out.
execute. Bash is a nice mid-range removal spell to take care of that. Save execute for something a little bigger. Lotheb is a strong play here. You can follow it up with Ancient of Lore next turn as Mzang.
Oh, those Darnassus and Wild Groves cluttering up Mzang's hand. It's like, guys, you're not here at the right time. Sorry.
Those guys are really late to the party. Mzang did nothing on turn 2 or turn 3, and now the Darnassus aspirants show up and they're like, all right, we're here. Put us into play. We'll give you more mana crystals. And Mzang's just
poking things with lances.
Mzang is just sad, you know, like, you guys.
It's like, really, guys? Come on.
But Lotheb was here for him when he needed him. Same with Ancient of Lore. So these guys are the MVPs of this game. We'll see if they can, take Wava down with their 5 attack and 5 health stats. Lotheb going face. I mean, you have 2 5/5s in play, so there's a good chance Shield Maiden just trades with one of them. Yeah.
He's gonna coin out the Dr. Boom, or he could just play the Justicar. Looks like he's gonna coin the Dr. Boom. He can Justicar and Hero Power next turn. Whereas if he put the Dr. Boom next turn, he's floating a mana, so this works out pretty well. Look at all these golden legendaries, man. I'm telling you, these warriors. They just have so much money just lying around, and
Well, I know Wava's played the game for a long time, so I know he likes his warrior deck.
he even has a golden Justicar. That's when you know. It's like, you know.
Hey, maybe he opened it at pack. How do you know? Come
Sure.
on. Big Game Hunter does come down and deal with this Dr. Boom, as well as a piloted Shredder. 2 Boombots, though. What kind of chaos are these guys going to cause now on this board? The second Death Spite drawn for Wava. He's got to be happy to see that.
Looks like he's just going to Death Spite the Shredder? He could play the Baron, right? You can... Alright, let's see what comes out of the Shredder.
Argent Protector is pretty average result. Can the Boombots clean up? Ooh, these Boombots are feeling the smork today. They don't have time to
They
kill
don't
off this
belong in
Argent
a control
Protector.
warrior deck. What is this?
Speaking of not having time to do things, Sylvanas Windrunner, drawn for Mzang. Emperor Tharacyn just kind of dies to this Death Spite, but so does Sylvanas. Emperor Tharacyn at least does something before it dies. Like if you play Sylvanas here, she's just gonna die and deal 5 damage. So I like the Tharacyn play, get that Death Spite charge off the board, reduce the cost of everything.
Yeah, he's got the Savage combo plus swipe that he can play in 1 turn.
Exactly. And I think that's actually lethal oh, never mind. Armor up. Okay. It's going to be 2 damage off.
So that's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So...
It seems like a reasonable time to play your Wild Growth and cycle it. I mean, it does only cost 1 mana.
You could... the problem is next turn he's got the Justicar. The armor up, Justicar tank up. And then where are you? You know, it's a rough spot to be. He needs something to stick on the board.
I would like to see a double swipe here. Double swipe on a Baron get in, and then 1 on a face.
Yes.
Okay, this is a bit less risky. You get your Keeper into play, which is a body.
Yeah, you want bodies to help out with the Savage Roar, right? So this is good. He gets 2 bodies on the board that he can help with the Savage Roar next turn. So even with that much armor coming out of the Justicar, you know, it still could potentially get through it.
Still represents
Weaver gets it, right? He's like, okay, he probably has combo, so he needs to get rid of bodies on the board.
I feel like he could have made a more defensive play there with Shield Maiden Crueltask Execute. Either way, though, I don't think he would get out of this. And that's going to be M. Zhang taking it with Mid-Range Druid, Force of Nature, Savage Roar, the classic combo. Like I was saying, it does really well against Warrior. And that is going to be a 3-0 win for Princeton. Wow.
And there we go. Yeah, Grandmash, not enough, just M. Zhang, he knew it. He just had to get the bodies out, and then once you get those, you're good to go.
Yeah, 2 3-0 series tonight. People definitely showing their dominance as they move closer and closer to the finals. Both of the teams we just saw win, which were Georgia Tech and Princeton University, they will be moving on to the top 4, they'll be playing in January, I think, right? Or
no, that will be next week. So on Friday we will have McGill versus Drexel, and NYU versus UNT. So the winner, Princeton, will be playing against the winner of McGill and Drexel, and then we'll have Georgia Tech playing against the winner of NYU versus UNT. So we'll have the semifinals on Wednesday and the finals on Friday next week.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Lucia, for having the schedule all in order, as I was a little off there. But yeah,
it's like, and oh no, don't worry about it. Just wait till January. Everything's different. Whatever, it's all good.
We hope you guys have all enjoyed the broadcast tonight. Once again, we'd like to thank Blizzard and Twitch for sponsoring this. And of course, the next broadcast for Hearthstone is on Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, I believe. 10 p.m. Eastern.
And you guys in the middle, you know how to figure out what time it is. We don't need to help you with that.
Yep. Once again, I am Nomo Dogan. My Twitter is @RootNomoDogan. And Lucia is @LuciaFireball on Twitter. Once again, we hope you guys have enjoyed the broadcast, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
When your heart's at stake, you got me feeling low.